Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Spotlight. I think I was too excited last time because I spoke at a million miles a minute. So this is the second episode, but I'm equally as excited to introduce Ellie Nusbaum. I met her as a Cyclone Aide, and then she's been following me around ever since because she is also a resident assistant in my building, and then some other things. But Ellie, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then tell the viewers what do you think is the most important thing that they know about you while listening to this episode.
Okay, hello. My name is Ellie, as Elijah just mentioned, and I'm a sophomore majoring in biology currently at Iowa State. My whole end goal plan is to be an orthodontist at some point, so that's super exciting. And yeah, the most important thing about me, that's really
Some of the list,
Yeah.
some of the things.
Well, first of all, I love bees.
Yes.
Actually a beekeeper, so I've shared this so many times. But I was a honey queen for a while in Iowa and just shared my passion of bees to anyone and everyone who will listen. I could honestly just talk about why we need bees and everything about bees and honey and pollinators for the next 5 hours, but I won't bore people with that. So yeah.
How did you get into that? Where does the bee development start?
Yeah, so in Iowa, there's actually a Iowa Honey Producers Association, and my older brother, when he was 13 years old, applied for a youth scholarship, and if you are a recipient of the scholarship, you get a mentor and all of the equipment, which is about like $400, all given to you in this scholarship. And so his mentors were husband and wife, and they were so awesome. Like, they are awesome. They taught him all this stuff. And then kind of my whole family just got into it. And then in high school, there was a bee club, but then I found out they had no bees. And I was like, how are you a bee club? But before that, they were doing some really awesome like gardens and pollinator hotels, things like that. So I was like, I know some people. Let's get some beehives. And we ended up having 3 beehives. My last year, we extracted 200 pounds of honey.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's a lot. And then we would sell it to like buy more supplies, buy more pollinator hotels, plant gardens, really cool stuff. So
That has to make some bank. Wait, so your brother got adopted by a bee family?
basically, yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
And so when you say the word scholarship, you mean that like basically just like a grant to start doing this? Like, I've never heard of scholarship outside of the realm of applying to a school.
Yeah.
And so like, did he apply to bee trade school as like a 13-year-old and then a family adopted him to be their bee master? And then like, how does...
It's like Barry from the Bee Movie.
Yeah, did he get, that's his father-in-law? That's
So,
insanity.
Like, scholarship, you don't get money. You just get all the materials and a mentor. So it's like connecting you with the people and giving you $300, $400 worth of items. But yeah.
How
and then
competitive is the bee
I
scholarship?
have no idea.
Did you get it? Did you apply for it?
Well, okay, here's the other catch. If you have a sibling who's done it, you can't do it because by then you would already have all the materials, right?
Oh, okay.
So like you have all the materials, but you can still be awarded with like a mentor.
Okay.
You just want to get all the supplies again.
Did you get a bee parent?
No. Well,
Eating it
I
your
just
own?
I like found my own. His
You
name
found
is
it.
Jamie. He's so wonderful.
Jamie, your bee father?
Yeah.
That's and 400 pounds, that's a lot. Can I ask how much money that sold for?
Oh, I don't even know. Like, okay, so I think
Ballpark
of it
rate.
as, okay, like 5 ounces we would sell. Okay. So like 12 ounces is probably like $10.
Oh, wow.
So a few $1,000s.
That's
Maybe more.
insane.
Yeah, but like the other thing is we were doing it as like a fundraiser. So personally, I thought like we could sell it for a lot more, like because people will buy it if you're like, this is a
This is for
fundraiser for
something
the
else?
high schoolers.
This is for something else, yeah.
Yeah, but,
for a high school bee, so we can get some bees, bees in Ames High.
Yeah, exactly. But like we did, I think, so you could have like a little mason jar for $3, 2 jars for $5. And we would have like hundreds of jars.
That's still well because I'd actually been introduced to the bee market before you.
Oh,
Lo and behold.
okay.
Because I was a pollinator in the cornfield.
Yeah.
This cornfield pollinator at Syngenta.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies was getting in. He was a beekeeper as well
Mhm.
because one of his family friends owned beehives, and he was telling me, he's like, I don't really know what I want to do, but let me tell you this: if I go down to California where bees are endangered, and the government will pay me to raise bees, then they will pay me to buy those bees, and then I could also sell the honey.
Mm-hmm.
And then in California, the market for honey is much higher because everyone's looking for that herbal, natural,
Yup.
and they're like, he's like, I could easily make like 70K a year doing bees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm
No,
like, that's insane.
bee businesses are actually huge. So, for example, for like me as like a small bee farm, I'll say.
I love this terminology, by the way. Very, very rarely am I in the bee know-how. So.
Yeah. So like we would winterize our hives. So we would like put special covers on them to like keep them protected. Side note, all the male bees are kicked out to die over the winter. It's just the females who like run the hive.
Wow. Okay.
But like big bee industrial farms will put like their beehives, thousands of beehives onto semi trucks back to California. And they put them around the almond trees and like all their plant trees.
It's the year-round bee hustle.
So then, and they get like, I think it's like $200,000 a semi truck. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's just like ballpark.
That's bee companies.
It's crazy.
The bee market is insane.
And like these people live in Iowa.
I know, the bee market is insane.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy.
I don't know, man. There's all of these like side well, how many? I don't even know how to ask this question. What's like that commitment, like the hourage of work? Is this like a full-time?
This would be their full-time. Like for those people who like send their bees to California, that is their full-time life.
Yeah.
Like,
but what about like side hustle? If this is that even possible? Can you side hustle bees for sure?
That would be like my family. Like my brother, when he was in high school, he would just like take his honey and like sell it for like $12. Like for like a bottle bear of honey.
Honestly, if you ate at my school's cafeteria, I'd pay $12
Yeah.
for like anything that tastes
People
good.
ate it up. Like they loved the bees. And now I think my younger brother is going to do it too because he's like, it could be like my little business.
This is the bee pyramid scheme.
Yeah,
this is
for
wonderful.
real. Like just have like your backyard bees.
And so is this something that you're still doing? Is there a bee club at Iowa State?
I actually don't think so.
Wow.
But I don't really know exactly how I want to go about doing it. Because my younger brother does it. I think I'll just like do some family stuff and like do my own things. But there's like a pollinator club, I will definitely join. I'm just so interested in it. Like, I think if all the bees died, we would have less than 5 years left to live.
What? Really?
Yeah. Like when people say like save the bees, like it's for real because first of all, if we had no bees, our market would immediately crash because they're responsible for like 80% of pollination of all crops.
Wow.
Yeah. Including like all the things that like animals graze on. So then like there go all of our crops. There's all of our animals. Like now what do we do?
Yeah, because the bee thing was why that movie was
Yeah.
created. Like it was actually a big advertisement for
I know,
bees.
and smoking the bees isn't actually that bad. I just want to say that about
What is that?
like the smoke that they like smoke out
to
the
like
bees.
pass them out or knock them out?
But it's actually not that bad if you know what you're doing.
Okay.
Like it's not killing the bees. It just makes them a little sleepy so then you can take some of their honey to help them so they don't overpopulate and they don't die.
Okay. I mean, I'd seen the TikTok satisfying videos of like, this is how much honey I gathered from my beehive.
And people just like pull it out with their bare hands. I don't do that.
And they're just like walking around and they just have like bees covering every inch of their skin. And I'm like, that looks terrible.
I would never do that.
Well, and what's so crazy, and so I have so many questions with the bee thing. Are you guys making like an impact, like a sizable impact? Not to say that in a demeaning way, but like,
no, yeah.
Is that a portion of why you're doing it? Is to make this kind of impact, or is it like a hobby, like a fun thing? What's the purpose of you doing the bees?
So it definitely for me just started out pure interest. I mean, my older brother was doing this. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I just sort of started helping him. And then I realized how important this was. And now for me, it's sort of a little bit of all of the things. So I just love it, first of all. My friend and I say it's like magical going into the hive because it just like, I think of bees as like glitter, like flowing around me. I try not to think of it as like they could sting me.
Yeah, it could be terrible.
It's just like they're beautiful floating around and it's just so amazing all the things that happen in a beehive. And then I really started researching all the different ways that it impacts the world. And that's when I was just like, wow, this is actually insane. And I pretty much have written every scientific essay that I've ever needed to write off of this, because now I just know so much about it that it's like my little fun quirk that I can just share all this information about.
That's what I was saying. I don't think if I did 80 more episodes, I would ever get a beekeeper on the show again. Just because like the chances of finding someone who does bees is like slim to none. It's such a specific.
But I will say, for like people who just want a fun, like you could absolutely have like just one hive in your backyard, and you would only need to check on it a few times, like a month even. Summer's really the only time that you need to do anything. You just need to give them sugar water. So like water and sugar, boil it together and feed them. That's really the biggest thing.
Feed your bees.
Yeah, so then you get the most honey possible.
All of this terminology is it's so wildly out of character for me to be hearing. Like, it's so bizarre. I could listen to you talk about bees forever, just because like the way that you're speaking about it is so foreign to me. It's so wildly different than anything I bet anybody has ever experienced.
Yeah.
Just because nobody does bees. And you're talking about bees like they're your pets, like they're your dogs.
No, they are. No, listen. So you see those people who like are on TikTok who like have no gear on. So I gear up all the time because I react really badly. And keep in mind, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I've been stung once. Like, if you don't want to get stung, you take every precaution, you won't get stung, right? Yeah. And like the time I did get stung, it was totally my own fault. Like there was a bee trapped in my suit and I was like hitting myself and like it stung me. So obviously. But when I had bees in like so we just did like a residential backyard in our high school. Like someone just lived right down the street and they were like, yes, we will take your bees. And we had 3 hives, and automatically you could tell a difference in their backyard, like how it looked, how their neighbors' plants looked, how everything in like the couple blocks, especially in their backyard specifically, because they would tell us their neighbors would come to them so happy that they had bees again, because they're like, we can just see a difference in all of our plants and our garden and our produce. It's crazy.
I would not have imagined that to actually have an effect. I didn't think about like the community gathering, because that was my next question, is a lot of people are like scared of bees.
Yeah.
And so if you have, hundreds of bees locked up in a box in your thousands, wow. Thousands of bees locked up in an area, or like, and that would scare people. Like, can you go in your backyard and just like have a cookout?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's sort of like anything else. So bees can go up to 5 miles away. So you could find them anywhere. And just because you're right in your backyard, like it could be right over in the corner and that would be the backyard and you wouldn't even know that the bees are there. Like if you aren't going to go over and irritate the hive and knock it over or something, they aren't going to bother you. And most of the times, like when the sun goes down, they are in the hive. Like they are not coming out at night kind of thing. So like evening times, they're really not out. If it's super hot out, they are not going to be out, things like that. So
it's actually like a relatively safe thing to have.
I mean, I think of much more dangerous, like people have raccoons. It's like, no. Horses is another. Yeah, I guess. Like,
because my girlfriend does horses. She's a horse girl. And what I'm discovering about it, and what my general consensus is, that they are infinitely more dangerous than they are fun. And, and that's how I would imagine like beekeeping is.
Yeah.
But the way that you're describing it, it seems like there's actually like no danger in it at all.
Yeah. Unless you're like allergic to bees, I probably wouldn't recommend doing it, just for like your own peace of mind. Yeah. But at the same time, I've only been stung once. So, I mean, I'm allergic to wasps. So I kind of had the same idea, and I didn't really know about bees until I got stung. And I'm like, sure, it's a bad reaction, but I'm not going to die. Yeah. So.
And I think people conflate bees and wasps. Together as well.
They're so different. Like wasps, I do believe are evil. I don't know if they have any purpose whatsoever, if I'm being honest.
If all the wasps died, that would be a net positive.
Yeah, actually.
On the environment.
Like, yes, finally. So I don't know. Bees are really cool. I will share one little funny story about this, and we can go to whatever. But so bees arrive, you pick them up in packages.
Like an Amazon box of bees.
So like it's got wood on the sides, and then like chicken wire, but really, really tiny on the sides. And that's the box that they come in. Like you pick them up in this little box. So my dad and I went to pick up the Ames High Bee Club bees.
Box. Yeah.
And we put them in my trunk. We get back. I open up the trunk. Whoosh, bees. They got out. Like the box like cracked open.
That is a nightmare.
So then the bees were infesting my car.
Yeah.
And my dad had to drive all the way over to the bee location, which was like 20 minutes away from where I was at, in a bee suit. Because the bees were like swarming the car, like 30,000 bees in my car.
How could you see like out a window while there are cars? Could you imagine?
Well, the back window was almost like, it was pretty covered.
Could you imagine pulling up to a Walmart and then like watching a guy come out and then just a swarm of insects and he just closes the door?
Well, first of all, like him in a bee suit.
The bee suit is even better too.
Like he's got the full helmet on and everything.
Just walking around. Like,
yeah.
I feel like as a person who owns the bee company who gave the boxes, like seeing somebody walk out in a bee suit, they already know exactly
They
what
knew
happened.
what they did.
They're like, oh, another
again.
escape again.
It's like a prank, but
Yeah. Oh, Donald got bees in his car again. I actually did see a TikTok video of this guy. I think it was he just had a bag of crickets, and then he just like went to someone's car, opened it,
No.
dumped it out, and then just closed the door.
No. See, okay. My brother has a bearded dragon and it eats crickets. So we have a little cricket case, but somehow they keep getting out. We don't know how. And the crickets drive me nuts. Like one of them escaped into our kitchen. It was like under the fridge for like a couple days.
And it's like screaming at
and
you.
it was it was my older brother was home for the weekend and he was so mad. Like he's like about to like pull out the whole fridge to like kill this cricket.
I know.
Like I do hate the crickets.
The crickets. So are you? Has this allowed for an appreciation of like all bugs, or are you
No.
just like is it bees?
It's pretty much bees and butterflies I like, and that's about it.
Yeah, every other bug. So you're
Yeah.
not one of those people that's letting like a tarantula crawl on your.
No, but if I do
arm.
see like a spider and it's not bothering me, I'm not gonna kill it because like I think of it as the spiders kill the things that I don't like more, like mosquitoes and flies.
Yeah.
So like I'll let the spiders live if they're not crawling all over me.
Yeah, I was that way, but then I kept getting like bug bites. You know what I mean? Just like periodically, like a lot. And then I was just like biking, and then a spider just crawled out of my sleeve.
Oh my
and Just
God.
like I was like, oh, okay, so it was just living with me for a while, like in my hair or something, in my bed or something.
No, because I saw this video a couple weeks ago. You like pour hydrogen peroxide in
And
your
they
ear and it
crawl.
crawls out.
Yeah.
I'm truly never been so terrified in my
I
life.
know, every day. Well, because there's that myth that in your lifetime, 3 spiders will crawl into your, which is a total lie.
No,
by the
3
way.
pounds.
Yeah, well, I heard that any count of spiders crawling in your mouth is a complete lie. Did you hear about this?
No.
That was like either a psych experiment or a social experiment to see how quickly some word could travel if you just
Stop.
made up something.
Why didn't we like go out and tell them that it was fake?
I don't know.
I haven't heard
I thought
that.
a lot of people knew
I'm like,
that.
oh my gosh, I'm ingesting so many bugs.
Yeah, any of the spider statistics is completely made up. That's not saying that there won't be just a spider in your ear or body, but I am saying that
Okay.
there's no average number of, like spiders per person.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Like they couldn't have chosen literally anything else.
To lie about.
Yeah.
I'll say, hey, they knew that would get spread though, because
This is true. People
I've
are
probably
like,
when I heard that as a kid, I told 10 people that. You know.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like,
absolutely. That
don't
was like
sleep.
the talk.
The spiders are coming. The spiders and the bees are coming.
Like tape your mouth shut and your nose.
Yeah, it's
and
like
all
this.
holes on your face. Like keep them like.
I'll say I told when I got that poison ivy, I thought that I had like a spider in my bed, like a spider infestation or something. Like
bed
in my
bugs.
Yeah. I thought I had bed bugs for a while, and then I went to like there must be like a spider in my room and a bunch of little baby spiders just like gnawing at me while I sleep or something that I can't see. And then it finally was poison ivy. I walked into the doctors and they just laughed. They
Yeah.
were like, "Oh, bud."
Yeah.
They're like,
That's not the spiders.
They're like, "That was poison ivy, man."
Yeah. Oh wow.
But yeah, I want to pivot to a conversation that you and I had a while ago when I mentioned the podcast. You had said that you wanted to start a podcast.
Yeah.
That you actually had a tape recorder in your room, and you would, while you were driving, you would just record yourself talking.
Mhm.
So I kind of wanted to give you a platform to talk about that. And
Yeah.
what was this podcast that you wanted to start or are still going to start, or talk to me about what you're doing with that?
Yeah, so okay. I do have a lot of voice memos on my phone. Like no one gets to access those. It's full lockdown.
You can't play them on for the show.
No.
The show today.
So what I would do is I would have like a 20-minute drive to school. So sometimes I just like was not in a music mood, and I've always had this idea: how cool would a podcast be? In my mind, just kind of to like be totally raw and open about how some things are that people either like don't really share about, just like to make anyone feel less alone, you know? Because it sucks when you feel like you're the only one who's going through something. When you're all in it together, it's just such a better feeling, right? So I would just make these little videos on my phone, like 20-minute increments on my way to school, to and from school, continue on the way after. Like I'd think about it all day and then come back and like all these ideas. But my whole idea with like actually starting a podcast kind of started when I started college, because I was really having a rough time like when I started college. I had a lot of stuff going on personally. My aunt passed away like 3 days after I moved into my dorm, and like I didn't have a roommate, so like automatically I felt super isolated. And then like on the DIS welcome weekend, it's like when everyone's meeting their friends, I was at a funeral, you know what I mean? So like that really kind of sucked. And from there, everything just kind of went downhill. And like I kind of thought I was fine. Like I was going to classes and everything, but I really was not mentally doing as well as I should have been, right? So I started like, oh, maybe I should have a little podcast like to talk about my actual college experience. Although it was probably a little different because not everyone's going to experience something like that their first week of school, right? But it was also a little eye-opening because everyone is always saying how great it is when you first get to college and you meet your best friends who are like going to be your bridesmaids, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, where are they? I'm still waiting. And so like I just realized there were a lot of things that I need to work on kind of myself and like figure some things out. But that's why I just kind of wanted to start a podcast, like to get all my feelings out there. I'm not a journaler, but I really enjoy just talking to myself and then listening to it later on to figure out like what I was going through, like what was happening at that time. Maybe that's just because I don't have the patience to write things down for very long, but yeah, so that's kind of what all sparked this whole thing. And from there, then when I found out you had a podcast, I just thought it was so cool that you're like someone who actually does it, you know, like they keep going and have it continuous, you know, and I just think that's so great. And yeah, so just kind of wanted to come on and especially talk about like college and like the differences from what you see on social media and what people might say it is compared to what your experience may be. And I fully believe some people get to college and it's actually like this eye-opening, the most amazing experience of their life. Some people also might not have that. And it's just so important to like realize that it's okay not to have that and to feel a little alone and a little lost and scared for a second because now things are going really great. I mean, I joined the Cyclone Aide like tour guide where I met you. And I actually ended up becoming like best friends with someone who, yes, we did go to high school together, but we didn't really like, we never were friends in high school. But it was just so fun to be able to connect with her and then meet other people. And then I got the RA position and I've met so many awesome people there. Like, I can't even explain how great all of my coworkers are there, including you, Elijah.
Let's go.
And so like, it takes time sometimes. Like, you know, my mom just kept telling me like, you have to wait, like get through the first semester, get through the first year, and then see how things are going. And now I'm so glad that I decided to like stick it out and really put my best foot forward, because the way that I put it for myself was like, I need to give it everything or I'm going to go somewhere else, you know, like I'll find somewhere else. But first of all, I need to give everything, every chance I have, you know, like keep going and see if it's good and like see what happens, because I wasn't really doing that my first semester and really great things happened out of that. So yeah.
Well, I think that's terrific. And Um, a lot of stuff to say about that
There's
first off,
so
but
many. I'm sorry, I just kept talking.
no, that's great. That's great. I do want to kind of set a perspective before we start talking about this. Um, my biggest thing is with conversations like this, and with messages like this, like if you're going to say that something is going to suck, or if you're going to
Mm-hmm.
say that something was bad, there needs to be like a reasoning for it. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be that positive, that positive at the end, or like the message of how to go get through it, or like something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because otherwise you're just sitting in a room and complaining.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I love that you said at the end, like putting 100% for it, and it gets better with time, or it's going to
Mm-hmm.
get better with time, or that you were able to decide to stay later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I love that much, but I want to really hit home on that before we get into like the
Yeah.
specifics of like what kind of was disappointing, like
Mm-hmm.
what didn't, and then how did you get through that and stuff like that. But before we get, I kind of wanted to get this more positive angle of it, or at least like what you did to overcome this, or like I guess more on like with the time that you spent and put into it, how did you overcome some of these disappointing things or some of the challenges at the beginning?
Yeah. So to begin, in high school, I was super involved, like probably more than I should have been. Like I was in everything. And one of those things was this service organization called Key Club. And there's like a club level, a state level, and then an international level. And I was on the international level of 13 people. And like that's where I met my best friends. So when I was really like at my lowest when I came to college, someone told me I keep comparing it to that. And I can't really do that because with that, I had these filters, right? So you had the filter from the high school level to, okay, now we have people who care a little bit more, then people who care a little bit more, and then people who like care a lot, you know? And when you get past all these filters, you're going to find people who are more like you or people that you just click with so much easier, right? So I had to start putting myself in positions where there were going to be automatic filters where I could have an easier connection with people, right? So I joined clubs of volunteer-based things that I was really into. I joined a pre-dental club. And then I tried out for this RA position, with the idea that every time I add a filter, I'm going to find more people who I'm going to have a better connection with. Not to say that you can't just stumble upon someone in your residence hall who you have the best connection with ever, but sometimes you just want people who have a lot of similarities going on. So for me, finding those people in college was like placing in those filters of what kind of interests do we want to have? Like, what do we want to do on the weekends kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just had to keep doing that. And it really did work out because through all of my different jobs and through all my different things, I can say I've found so many different people from each of them who just are great, and made my experience all the more better. So, um, you know, like I would say if you are in that position of just like, what do I do now? Like I'm here and I hate everything. Like you have to like try. You have to go out and build some filters for yourself. Like, okay, maybe this club, I'll find someone who's interested in this, like in little thing that I'm interested in, my bees, like how can I find someone? And just having those little connections with people makes such a large campus like this feel so much smaller because you just meet so many people and they have so many people. So then you can meet their friends. And it does make everything feel so much better. And I think for me, like especially the RA position was like, this is awesome. Like there are really cool people here. For example, Ella and one of the other RAs, she has like the exact same path as I do, like goals. We're in so many of the same things and we just had never ran into each other yet, And now we have, and it's really nice to know that there are other people who are doing the same stuff as you and so great to be around and just make your energy feel so much better. The bucket fillers,
Hmm.
Yeah, so I like to think of the filter idea because if you just, especially going to a big college or university and you just don't really know where to start, like find some filters. Just find something that, only certain people are going to be attracted to that you're also into and go there.
Well, and I think that does an excellent job. That's such a good mindset to have because I'm probably one of the biggest proponents of like be in control of what you can control,
Mm-hmm.
that you probably ever meet. And so my biggest like thought when it came to talking about this was, um, how can we change this from this environment sucks to it's difficult to control this environment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like giving an opportunity of like this is how you can actually control or at least put some control on what you're doing instead of saying like this is going to suck. It being like this is how you can control how much it sucks.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I think that's such an awesome perspective to have. And I think that's good advice too for people who are coming in and like trying to figure out what to do. Where's that step of
Mm-hmm.
doing things is reminding them like, hey, your environment's going to control a lot about how you feel. Is going to control about a lot about who the people you're surrounded with. So if you can have control about the people that surround you, you should do that. And
Yeah.
this is kind of an easy way of like join the clubs of people who are interested. But I like the work example a little bit better because the people who are willing to work in the places that you want to work,
Mm-hmm.
those people are going to have a lot more in common than maybe someone who's just interested in the things that you're interested in.
Right.
So that's why I like the RA example and the Cyclone Aide example because it's like to do that job, with the exception of a few people, you need to be interested in that, or you have to be
Yeah.
good at doing that.
Yeah.
And so I think that does a wonderful job of putting the ball in your hands, I
Yeah.
guess.
And I will say, like, sometimes you can't just like get out of bed and try every day, right? Like everyone's gonna have some really rough stuff. So for me, it was also like I started going to therapy. So like if you're in that position and it's like I just cannot do this, you need to accept help from other people. And like that was something I was really not wanting to do, I think. Cuz then it's like admitting that you're failing,
Mhm.
But once I started doing that and like getting my mindset in the right place, then I was able to really be all into everything. Because before that, I was just so stuck in the mindset of like this does suck. Like I just got to go find something else because everyone else is doing great. Why isn't mine? It's not the right place. This sucks. I'm out. But before that, like I started getting the help that I needed and really then after that, I was be able just all into everything around me. And that's when things really started to change. So sometimes it's more than just trying. You
Yeah.
need to be open to the help that there is. And I think our campus, for one, does a really great job of providing that mental health support in so many different ways. Oh my gosh, the fly's back. But yeah, so that was just kind of my experience with it. But I will say things have just are so great. And I could also be saying this because about 1 hour ago, I did book my flight to Hawaii.
Yeah. So things probably are pretty great.
So I'm like, life is great right now.
Well, yeah, and I think that's an important aspect of it too. And me and someone else on the podcast were talking about it. And just it's so difficult to give it 100% every single day. And technology was a big conversation in that because like especially when it comes to schooling is a good example. Just having email, like the
Hmm.
professors can contact you at any time. Assignments can be due at any time. And if you're not taking advantage of that capability, people are passing you. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So if I'm not spending every second utilizing the communication I have with everybody, my peers are like, if they're taking that time, they're passing me. You know what I mean? And now I'm lower in this competition.
Yeah.
And so it's so hard to see everyone like smiling all the time or with so much energy and you don't have it because that's another person that's showing you what you could be and what you're not taking advantage
Right.
of at that point. And so it's so easy to lose grasp of like, okay, no, they take their breaks. You know what I mean? Like they get
Hmm.
that break time and but they're just not doing it right now. I'm taking mine right now. They aren't taking it right now. And it's
Yeah.
so hard to lose grasp. It's so hard to keep track of that. And so I think that doesn't help with coming to college and seeing thousands of people like talking during lunch and
Yeah.
I'm sitting alone watching a YouTube video
Right.
or like, you know what I mean? But everyone's different on when their clocks recharge, when their batteries recharge and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And so I think that's a good point to bring up as well as kind of figuring that out, like how to
Yeah.
recharge your battery
Yeah.
and how to get that going. And so when you moved in, do you think it was mostly just what your situation was specifically, or do you think that there are things that could be changed about the college scene that could have helped you when you first moved in? Or was it truly just like, I kind of got dealt a bad hand?
Right. So, sorry, I think it was a little bit of both of that going on. So let me just make this statement. I went to high school in Ames. So my whole life has been here. My friends and I, when we would go hang out, we would come to Campus Town. Like that was already our hangout spot, right? Except for now, it's changed a little bit because all my friends are in different states. And I'm still here. So that it was just a little weird at first, right? And then everyone would say, oh my gosh, if you're going to Iowa State, like from my high school, they would say it's totally different. Like you wouldn't even know you're in the same place. And I just want to say right now, they lied to me. Like straight up, they were lying because I could still tell. And when I would like go home every night, I could still tell, obviously, because I was going home. And I do think it was a little bit also like just the situation was like really tough because my aunt had cancer for about 7 years. May of my senior year, like right before my graduation, she was cancer-free, rang the bell and everything. Second week, it was August 12th. My dad gets a call. They just went to the hospital. It's back. It's everywhere. She has 3 weeks if she's lucky. So I'm moving in, like, how quickly can I leave to go see her, right? So, like, that was my mindset. It was nowhere near, like, where's all my new best friends, you know? And then my best friend at the time she had like a week before she needed to move in still. So like she came and hung out with me because like I was really going through it. And I don't think that really helped either in the way that I needed it to, because instead of me going and meeting new people, I was just hanging out with my best friend in my room. Right. And like, then like trying to like keep my mind off of all of that. And then I was gone for like the next 2 weekends when everyone's meeting each other again. So that kind of really sucked. But then I came back and I just was not, like, everyone had their friend groups. And I was like just there. And it's still a little bit like that where some of those people who I still am in contact with from my first year dorm, like they have their friend groups and then I'm just sort of there. You know, I'm like a side character and like they're all the main characters in the movie. And I'm just like, hey there.
When you come in, the laugh track. And
that's me. Like I'm like the clapping and the laughing in the background. But like since then, like I've obviously found so many other friends in other places that it's just like this is a real like genuine connection. So I think it can definitely be both, but like it can happen to anyone. Like you're moving into college and it's like the worst situation ever is currently happening in your personal life. And how do you go into college like open-minded and like excited to be there when your mind is in 100 other places, right? And once again, that kind of just brought me back to like I needed to find help like mentally for myself, because I mean I was going to all the classes but I wasn't doing well in them. And once I really got back mentally, it was like I am back, you know? And just like being able to accept that kind of thing, because it was so quick for everyone. And my family's extremely close. So that was just kind of like this huge shot, like earth-shattering thing for everyone, that could actually be happening. 'Cause 3 months before that, she was perfectly healthy. And then, yeah. So I think it can really just depend on everyone. But I will say, like, even if that wouldn't have happened, I still think college can suck, like when you first move in, but it's all about like how you go about it. And even if you're a really quiet person, you still have to put yourself out there in those first few weeks, because people aren't going to come to you looking for you to make sure that you want to go grab dinner with the entire floor. Like they're kind of thinking about themselves, right? And I mean, if someone does do that, they're awesome. Like keep them close. But you gotta kind of be there for yourself a little bit and like figure out who you want to hang out with and what kind of groups you want to be a part of. And not everyone you meet needs to be your best friend. Like that's another misconception that really kind of grinds my gears, because it's like, we don't need to be best friends with everyone. Like I was in this friend group when I first moved in, and there was this dude who lived down the hall, and I'll just be straight up, he was an asshole. Like
wow, yeah.
The things that he would say, like he's throwing stuff around and everyone would just like be silent. Like and like texting each other, like, how could he say this? And I'm like, guys, we just never need to invite him again. Like, I'm sorry.
It's that simple.
Like, it's that simple. Like, I don't even know what this kid's last name is. Like, we don't ever need to invite him anywhere again. And they were shocked that I could ever say something so mean in that sense. And I'm like, well, how did he just make you feel? And it's like, well, awful. Like, he can't say that. And I'm like, well, you told him not to say it, and he continued to say some of these things. So we just never invite him again, and it is what it is. And that was just kind of like shocking to them in a way. And I think when you are from like a really small town or something, like, and you have to kind of be best friends with everyone, like, you know everyone, it's tough to like not be friends with someone because they might be the only person you can be friends with. But I'm kind of on the opposite, where it's like, no, just don't be friends with them. Like, goodbye.
Yeah. I was like, well, and the thing about that too is it's weird to feel bad about saying that, because that person can also find friends as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and if he doesn't find friends, he's
needs
gonna
to think about
hopefully
why.
gonna learn from that. And,
Yeah, like, we're helping him.
Yeah. So if anything, like, that's gonna help him in the long run. He's gonna find he reserves that right to find other friends just as much as you do.
Right.
And most of all, if you don't want to hang out with them, don't hang out with them.
Exactly.
So that is an interesting perspective, but you never know what someone is going through, like, at any time, but especially you have such a pinnacle week that has to be enjoyed when you move in here. And if it isn't, then you're kind of just left. Maybe the month of August, there are some other things that you can do. But what would be great is if there was something in October.
Yeah.
Like a big, like,
Let's
thing.
put Destination Iowa State in October.
That's what, actually, though, like have that welcome weekend. Don't have that at the beginning of the week. Have that, like, September even.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, give people just a little, so that it's not all condensed. Like, you're not doing sorority recruitment, then Destination Iowa State, then your first week of classes, then Club Fest, and then it's over.
Right.
Like, you spread it out, because like, when my first roommate was a random roommate, and then he was a senior, and he was like 22, and I didn't know that he moved in, because he just had one backpack and nothing else.
Oh my
That was
God.
it. He was never in the dorm. I was alone in that dorm for the entire 3 months when I moved in here, and he was just never there. And then my next roommate was also a 21-year-old. He was also there, but we shared nothing in common. And that was like the next year. And so that first semester was just like,
It's rough.
like, I was in Willow too, and that place looks like a prison.
Yeah.
And so I'm in there, and I have like stone walls, and my side is decorated, but his side is nothing. He doesn't even have bed sheets.
Oh my God.
Like bedding. And so it's just like, he's just there.
What is he doing?
And I'm like, dang. I was like, it is sad in here. And my bedding didn't come in until like 3 weeks in. And so I didn't have bedding. I didn't have a lot of my stuff. I didn't have any place to sit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and then also my RA, like, doors closed, didn't introduce himself to the floor, didn't send out an email, was basically not there the entire time.
Right.
So I didn't even know that you were supposed to walk into Destination Iowa State with your floor. And so I went alone with like with a team leader who cared but didn't have a lot of energy.
Yup.
And so all my people left immediately.
Yep.
And so it was just a disaster. And it's like having that week, everything be so isolated into 1 week. If one piece doesn't fall into place, it is infinitely more difficult to make everything else happen.
Right.
And so I think having something in October would be
yeah,
super
like that's
nice.
his second part,
Yeah.
part 2.
Yeah.
And I think like it's great to have stuff right at the beginning, but it's so overwhelming. And you're right, like one piece doesn't work out, everything is busted.
Yeah.
Like then you don't want to show up to anything, especially like if you're alone. Like,
Yeah.
what are you supposed to do?
And I don't think that should mean that we don't have it.
Yeah.
What that should mean is have alternatives as well.
Exactly.
Have other
Have
things
another
going on.
one.
Yeah, have another one. Let's do it.
Like, come on. Yeah.
Let's do it. But first off, it's wonderful that you're feeling better and doing better now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so and hard things are going to come.
Yeah.
And that's always how it's going to be. And so asking for help is always supported and always great. And so it's wonderful that you did that. But you can be an advocate that, like, I was struggling. I went there and I felt better because of it.
Right.
So that's one awesome plug for.
Yeah, for real. Like that's a huge reason of why I think things turned up. Like my therapist, he was great. He's great. And he was like, you gotta be doing this stuff. And like, he was kind of like the cheerleader that I needed. And like, yeah, I have my family and stuff, but you kind of need someone else sometimes.
Yeah, and family advice could be pretty outdated too.
Yeah.
Like the differences in dorm life is so different now than it was even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because everyone's doors closed, everyone's gaming, everyone's watching TikTok or Netflix on their phones in their room with the doors closed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Nobody's doors are open unless you're in an AC-less dorm like us.
Dude, literally. I don't know if I told you this. So my like opening event for my residence was everyone gets a brick and we paint them so you can keep your door open. They put all their bricks outside of their doors.
I saw that when I was doing rounds.
Like, yo, we can't. First of all, like I don't think they're supposed to be out here.
No, it's a fire hazard.
That was not the point.
But at least they went and painted bricks.
A lot of people showed up. I was impressed.
I'm surprised. People don't only show up when there's like free food, but like,
I had Oreos.
There you go. Okay. Well, still, I mean, free bricks is not like.
I did not tell them about that.
I was like, people were lining up for a free brick. I was like, that just seems unlikely.
When I was like, hey, we gotta like go down to the office. We gotta pick something up. They're like, what? Yeah. And I'm like, everyone grab 2 bricks. They were like, who is this girl? Like, please tell us this is not our RA for real.
Please, yeah.
Like, this has got to be a joke. I'm like, just grab 2. It's all good. We're going to walk back together.
And we're going to paint bricks.
Yeah.
It is a cute idea. I think that's a good idea, though.
I know. It was a little...
I haven't heard of that before, so...
Yeah, someone told me that their RA did that. And I'm like, I have to do this.
What Willow and them need to be doing it because they have the automatic closing doors. Like, their doors, like, actually cannot be propped open.
Exactly.
So
like, they need
really
all of the extra bricks.
They need those bricks. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Willow RAs, if you're listening to this, Willow Maple Willow Larch, get on that. Tyler, start doing a brick painting thing.
Yeah.
We need... Desi, Tyler, I know the Cyclone Aides are listening to this. You guys
Aiden.
Aiden, start painting bricks.
No, Let's go. When they put them out in the hallway, I was like, oh, I hope I don't get in trouble for that.
Yeah, and that's how it's going to be with residents. It's hard. It's with it being so easy to not socialize, it becomes much harder to socialize.
Yeah.
Like, you're weirder for socializing. It's harder to find people to socialize with. But I also think that makes people more social who are socializing.
Yeah.
But it's just creating this kind of bigger divide of like antisocial people are infinitely more antisocial than antisocial men in the 80s. You know, like an antisocial person would look like Queen Bee way in the 80s than versus the ones that they'd have now.
For
like,
real.
It's different.
It's sad too, you know, because like, it is just easy to sit in your room on Netflix. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I think everyone is. Like, and I'm just like, I can't deal with this right now. I'm just going to watch this show and forget about everything. But then it's like ultimately doing yourself like a disadvantage, you know?
I know. And that was so weird. I'd love to think that, you know, someone my age in the 80s was like fighting in the war or like... You know, and I'm like laying down, snuggling pillows with my phone like this, watching someone play a video game.
Yeah, literally.
You know Fortnite. I mean? Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is so wildly different than anybody could have ever predicted.
Right.
And so it's weird being an RA in a time like this, though. And I don't know, the people who are antisocial and need those events, need those planning events, even they come to those planning events and they're like, this is weird. This is uncomfortable because they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Because all the people who are there are all kind of antisocial, and like you need to really hit the nail on those heads and be like the social one and like get people going and be the reason that people come to these events.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just enough where you can just say, have fun, kids. Like, you need to be there.
You need to like help them with everything. It's like, okay, we're gonna do this and then this and.
No, don't go. Don't.
Please stay, please. I'm going to run out really quick. I'm going to bring snacks.
I'm ordering pizzas right now. Please
stay. Yeah. No, with a part of that, I'm kind of thinking about hosting like a weekly, like, so everyone's like into The Bachelor. I've never actually really been into it. I've seen like clips of it, but I've never been a religiously like, I'm watching it at this time, do not disturb me kind of thing. But I think it'd be so fun, like, to find a show or like maybe even like an old one, like Survivor reruns, and have like a weekly movie night in my room because it's AC and stuff.
That would be awesome.
Like, and just be like, hey, residents, like, come hang out in here. Like, thanks to my boyfriend who put his huge TV in my room. Like, awesome.
I think that's a great idea.
You know, they don't have to talk. Like, it's just like an hour of air conditioned hangout. I don't know.
I was thinking about doing that with just meeting in a place to go to the gym, like
Yeah.
at the same time once a week.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know, you just feel like, hey, if you guys want somebody to get you to go,
Yeah.
let it be me. And I will do it. I will
Right.
show up at your door and make you go. So
Yeah. I don't know. My mom is always calling me and telling me about the parents who post things on the Iowa State parent page. And it's like, am I doing a bad job? Because they're like, my student never once saw their RA and everyone says that they're supposed to be helping them with things. And it's like, okay, it all depends on who you get. Like, you just need to understand, you may end up with the worst RA in the world.
Yeah.
Like, truly, who you never see. And that might just be how it is. But it's also not fully their responsibility to get your student to go and do stuff. Like, your student needs to go and do stuff, like, because they want to, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their RA can't force them to go and make friends. You know, I mean, yes, they can provide a lot of really great opportunities if they're a really great RA. But if they don't, like, your kid's got to do something.
Well, yeah, because I'm a busy guy. Like, even in this
Yeah.
hour and a half, like, that you and me are here right now, like, I'm taking up an RA's time that they can't do
I'm on
stuff.
duty
So
tonight.
you can't do stuff in that time because we're literally here right now.
Yeah.
Pursuing one of the things that I like doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, that's one of the things I like doing. You know what I mean? So it's a weird juggling thing, but I can say, being an RA is like the not easiest, but freest money on campus.
Yeah.
Like, as far as enjoyable work, friends that you are forced to have, connections on campus, money, literally money made
Yeah.
with like housing and dining. It is just such a good deal. And you can tell it is because we have like a wait list of 200 people. You know? So
Exactly.
you can tell it's a good gig. But
Yeah.
I would like to, for the camera, any complaints about being an RA, I am very aware of how lucky I am that I won the actual lottery.
Yeah.
Like, I actually won the lottery and am able to have this position. I am extraordinarily thankful for it.
For real. Like, forever.
Forever.
Like,
I mean,
I'm in.
I know I see these people like, I'm not going to even look at internships right now because
Yeah.
I am not trying to. We get on a wait list. Like, we get to the top of the wait list if we do an internship, but I'm not even going to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm kind of thinking about being like a summer RA.
I think I'm doing that too because I've applied for summer programs assistant, and I'm gonna try to juggle.
Oh,
both of
summer
them at the
programs
same-
assist. Oh my
for
gosh.
Cyclone Aide, yes. And so I'm gonna try to juggle those two things. Let's talk about being a Cyclone Aide because I haven't gotten an opportunity to talk about this with somebody like in a long form conversation.
Okay.
I have a lot to say about being a Cyclone Aide. It was such a fever dream.
Are we allowed to like say things?
Say whatever you would like to about being a Cyclone Aide. I have like 95% good things to say
Yeah.
about being a Cyclone Aide, first off. That was incredible. The biggest thing was like, I don't know how, well, no, I do. I'm very hyper aware of what they were doing as a Cyclone Aide thing. You did not need to do 200 hours of training or
No.
however long it was.
The classes,
Was completely unnecessary.
because I'm trying to think of like the RA job. Okay, this is like my comparison of the two. And I'm like, one, we literally are like keeping residents' lives safe. You know, like that
Uh-huh.
is our actual job. And we had a 2-week training, most of which were like a 10-minute break. So like when everyone was like talking about how awful the RA job training was, I was like, y'all have no idea, because I was like a summer tour guide and I had a class at 8 a.m. every single like every other day.
Every Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah, and I felt as though the classes, we could scratch that.
Mm-hmm.
We could absolutely just have like a 2-week intensive training and cover it all there.
Well, yeah, and what my big conclusion about the class has been is like, as unnecessary as the training actually was, to like trauma bond 40 people and force them to hang out is the most ingenious way of creating the strongest group of companions to do a job.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a better way than having leadership that is literally in the same position as you. Like people who just graduated like 3 years ago, or like Cyclone Aide advisors who I'm older than some of them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
them being your, boss figures. And then you have 40 people who like, I came into, I wanted to do this job because I just wanted to give tours. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to smile on campus and I wanted to be like a tour guide or be a friendly face on campus for freshmen. That is maybe the third priority for this job. Like,
Yeah,
is doing a good job.
maybe.
I'll say introducing freshmen is maybe third class priority.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, making friends.
Yeah.
Making Cyclone Aide friends.
Yeah.
Number two, creating a community.
Yeah.
Number three, introducing new freshmen to campus.
Yeah.
It was actually such a difference in what I thought being a Cyclone Aide was going to be.
For sure.
Yeah, it's been wild.
And I don't know, it was just like, it's fever dream is the perfect way of describing it, because it's just like, what even was that? In so many ways. Like, let's just like flash back to the retreat.
I was just going to say that.
What?
This job had me going to Y camp with a bunch of strangers overnight.
No
like,
service.
No service. Doing like kumbaya, like strength retreats.
Yeah.
There were like 5 people who like quit after that. And and it was just, and that was when we barely met them. And do you ever like look back on those people? Like look back on your interaction with like Jake Bazzetti and like how you saw him, or like even a better example, like you maybe didn't even know Tyla like at all.
Right.
So think about your interactions with her, not knowing her at all. And now think about how those interactions are now.
Well, okay. Tyla, her and I, like, actually, I was at an after dark, and she walked in, and I was playing bingo, and she sees me, and I like wave her over. So like that was like after our second day of class. Like I had just seen her wandering, and I'm like, this girl looks like so cool. Like and I see her, I'm like, this is like the sign, you know?
Yeah.
Although it was like the night when all the Cyclone Aides went together, and like we were both just lost. But I like to think of it as Lauren. So Lauren and I went to high school together. We knew each other, like we had classes together, but we were never in the same friend group. We were in the same friend groups at opposite times, and we both thought that we hated each other.
Yeah,
like I thought she hated me because like she was friends with so-and-so, whatever. And I was friends with so-and-so. So we both thought that we like did not like each other. And then one night we were talking, and I was like, you know what? I just want to like talk to her about like this. And she was like, oh no, I hate this person. And I was like, wait a second.
Are you and me like
and then
friends?
It like literally sparked everything. And she was like, yeah, no, I don't like whatever, like all of these things. And we started like diving into like all of this high school like lore, right?
Because she was from Ames as well.
Yeah, and we just like went into all the things that would happen. And it was just so funny because it was like, first of all, everyone in the Cyclone Aide group has kind of made it a joke that our high school is like some kind of comedy show. Like it was like it was literally like a movie, like the things that would happen.
High school was a movie.
It was actually like everyone tells us it was like the way that we describe it. It was just like an actual movie, but
bizarre. Yeah,
things that happen. I'm like, what is this?
That's how I feel about the Cyclone Aide, being a Cyclone Aide.
Yeah,
like, what is this?
Yeah, so that's how Laura and I like all of a sudden just like I've known this girl for like 6 years now, and I've never actually like sat down and talked to her to realize that we are actually like the same person. And it was like so cool to finally be able to do that. It was just everything else was so weird.
I just like I graduated from Madrid with 50 people.
Yeah.
And that was like the biggest class we'd ever seen. And so like I came from a small school where I know everybody's first and last names.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody, grade above me, below me, and my grade. Everyone's first and last names, probably the 2 grades below me and 2 grades above. I know like everybody. I know all their personalities. I know how they interact with each other. I know what it's like to be in a classroom with them. This, being a Cyclone Aide, was the only thing that mimicked that. And it did it very well.
Yeah.
Like, I know everybody's first and last names. I know them very well. I know how they interact with each other. I know when something cringy is about to happen because 2 people are together. Or I know when something funny is about to happen because 2 people have a presentation. Like, I'm able to predict what my classmates are going to do because I was literally... we were forced to have a friend group. It was the most... I've never felt that way at college before.
Yeah.
Ever. Even, like, as an RA, I don't feel that way very often. But, like, this class was, like, it felt like I was in high school again.
I feel like we've had this conversation, but, like, in a larger group of people because everyone, like, I went to 500 kids in my class, right? So we were all like, this is what it would be like to go to a small school. Like, everyone's, like, in little relationships with each other. It's like talk of the town.
It actually is. It actually is.
It cracks me up.
It actually was just a small town. And my biggest thing was like during that Y Camp retreat, everyone was staying up like super late. You know what I mean? And so it was so weird. Everyone was completely sober, but they were all like acting drunk.
Yeah.
Because they were like so tired, or they had this going on. And in Y Camp, I was like, this is cringe. Like this is weird to be around. But then, as the final thing at that hypnotist show, then those people, it sparked again. Like people are acting a certain way, and I was like, but no, this is how they are. And that whole new like. It proved to me that I had learned so much about these people. I had spent so much time with these people. I had fallen in love with so many of these people. Like, and I had known these people so well, like it was high school, that everything had changed. Like, that the exact same thing that cringed me out at the beginning is now like, oh no, that's just how they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's what makes them so fun.
I know what makes them fun. It's like now this has become a personality trait.
Yeah.
Like, we have all become so comfortable with each other that I can't even really see it as cringe anymore. Like, it's just how it is. And it was never in college have I ever felt any way like that before. I felt that way in high school when I graduated.
Right.
I have not been able to feel that way since.
Yeah.
And it has been a bizarre,
it's just weird.
bizarre place. I cannot recommend, you have to have a high tolerance for listening to things you already know. You have to have a high tolerance for the type of people that like to do those positions, which is a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have a high tolerance for long days.
Yeah.
If you have that, please become a Cyclone Aide.
For real. Like, this is you doing the plug.
This is me doing the plug. Like, please become a Cyclone Aide, because I cannot point to anything that has been like that. Like, that has been like this. Even like being in a sorority or like a fraternity, I can imagine you feel this way after like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
this is a summer.
This is a speed run. This is like this is
like, let's get this done.
Yeah, like this is the fastest you could feel this way, as powerful as you can. It's an insane thing.
Yeah, for me, I really loved the job. The only thing that like I wish scheduling would have been a little bit different. Because, like, some people came in, it was advertised full-time summer job, and, like, some people needed that, like, the full 40 hours every week, all summer, but it was only June sometimes. You know what I mean? So, like, I wish it would have been advertised a little differently, and maybe they will do that in the future, but maybe part of that is the compensation for housing and dining that they just don't clarify what it actually means. Because, like, someone quit right before, and like she was really upset that she had to be leaving, but she was like, I have to be working 40 hours, and I'm like, well, we are, like, what do you mean? I think she knew.
I think she understood.
Yeah, and I just happening. Like didn't. So, but overall, like, it is a really cool experience, and if you ever want to like know the most bizarre facts, like, I honestly think that Cyclone Aide training has made me a better RA, because I know every single resource on campus, like the back of my hand.
There are some seminars, like, if I have to do green dot one more time, I've done it 5 times now. I was like, if I have to
do the training.
I literally could. Like, if I have to do green dot one more time, I swear I'm putting red dots. I'm kidding.
Oh my God, yeah. So I don't even know. It was just, like, I felt it was a little too much training in terms of the classes.
I felt like it was objectively too much training, but I also think, like, you can't get that without, like, you can't get the vibe that we had. Like, you can't get the relationships that we had and that feeling when it's all over.
Right.
If you don't do all the training.
Right.
And that was something that I had to admit to myself, because it's like, I wanted to be a Cyclone Aide advisor. That would be the position that I would want to do and what I feel like I would be best at doing. But I just cannot do the training again.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the training, even if they said, we'll let you be an advisor, but you don't have to do the class, I would still say no. Because you have to go through that with them. Like, you have to meet them.
Be a part of that.
You have to be part of that. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
It has to suck for everyone.
I know. It has to suck for everyone. I know. It can't.
It's like everyone, it sucks for everyone. So, like, we're all friends now.
But, like, also, props to them for making the class as fun as it could be, for being what it was.
Yeah.
Like the amount of activities, the amount of like paid opportunities to just have fun,
Mhm.
the amount of just things like that where it's like I have to be here, but they're also making it an activity.
Right.
Like even though some of them I wasn't interested in, they gave us that opportunity to be like, have fun, meet these people, and learn. And so
Yeah.
they did do as good of a job as they possibly could while also requiring 150 hours of training to do the job.
Yeah, it was just wild. Like,
That's why I can't.
but I will say, like, the bosses were all great. Like, I think it's so cool. Like, I don't know who's gonna replace the one, but we'll see.
I
Like,
was to say, I'm going to name drop.
okay.
Sarah gets too much hate from the Cyclone Aides. And this is a hot take. And I think she gets too much hate. And here's what I'm going to say. With zero offense. Should I wait?
I'm just gonna pull something up while you talk.
Yeah. This is for zero offense. For being her age and for being in the position that she's in, the care that she has for us, the care that she has for the freshmen, and the care that she has for her position is not common amongst anybody her age doing this. And that's true for everybody who's doing it. I give like Cassidy and Hannah some slack because they're young enough to have this energy with any career that they have.
Mm-hmm.
They're excited to be working. But for somebody to have children like Jordan and Sarah,
Yeah.
and to be that old, to have been in the career for as long as they have been, to be that excited about it, or at least to have that much, like, to be that respectful, to smile every day, working with us, working with the students, and then going home to like kids,
Yeah.
that is insanity. And I have mad respect for Sarah and for Jordan for doing that. Is this? Yes, I saw this. Yeah, so there's a heat thing, and then also it's super hot here. It's like 100 degrees, and a power plant lit on fire. And so now a lot of the places don't have AC. Our dorm already didn't have AC, so we're prepared for it.
But we still have AC.
So we still have AC, but a lot of the dorms are losing their AC. And Sarah just messaged out to all the Cyclone Aides, if you need a place to stay tonight,
or eat, or hang out,
come to my home. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot say enough. She gets too much
What
hate.
boss would ever invite Jonathan?
I know. Imagine if all 40 Cyclone Aides took advantage of that. Like, I have so much respect for all of the staff, but specifically for Sarah because she gets too much hate. And I think that's ridiculous. And I've never understood it, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Sarah. Sarah, if you're listening,
shout out Sarah.
shout out to Sarah. But yeah, the staff has been awesome. And everyone's going to make mistakes along the way, and everyone's going to like make a decision that people don't like. And that's always going to happen with management. You're never going to have a management that like you're in love with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they're managing you. That's the essence of what being managed is.
Right.
You're never going to find a boss that's like amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And so even the stuff that they mess up, I'm like completely okay because they care about new students a lot.
Yeah.
And they care about us. That's the biggest thing. Like,
I will add to that. So I was like so in love with everything about this job until someone got reported and should have been fired. I felt way before he was fired. And I did lose quite a bit of respect on that note, just because I felt a lot of things happened to coworkers that could have been avoided if he would have been fired earlier. So from there, I felt a little bit like tainted in that way, but like it ended up being great. You know, like everyone, the experience was still wonderful in that aspect.
Yeah. And so people, they're going to make mistakes like that.
Yeah.
And especially since they're not as involved in it as we are, like I could see that. And then also they need as many people as they can get.
I know.
And so I think it takes a lot to get fired from this position because they really want to keep the people that they have.
Yeah.
Especially if they spent 100 hours training them.
Literally.
There needs to be a lot for them to be fired. Take them to Y camp.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I understand people's flack with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But like, their good should overshadow the bad.
Because that's a tough spot to be in.
I know.
Like, no one knew what to do in that position. Like when I was reporting stuff, some of the reactions I was just not expecting because they were in such shock of like, I don't even know what to say.
I know
about hearing this,
and so I don't know. And to deal with 40 different people like doing stuff.
College students who are all assholes in some way.
Yeah, who all have something who all have something. You know what I mean? So I mean, just kudos to them. There was an example of something like insane that the staff did, but all of July was nothing. Like they did not need our help doing DIS stuff.
Yeah.
Like they kind of did. Like maybe
they needed Tyler.
Yeah, yes. I was literally going to say the people who did marketing, they needed them because they need somebody to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like they did not need all the committees, and I can tell you exactly why they did it. One, they wanted an excuse to warrant giving us housing for the entire summer and food for the entire summer. So they needed to keep us on payroll. But two, I think they wanted to give us money. Like a little, at least a little bit. But the biggest thing, I think they wanted us to give us work experience.
Yeah.
Like they wanted us to give us like, this is what an actual job is going to feel like. Like you're going to be in a committee, you're going to talk, you're going to work with people working on something, and then you're going to present it.
Right.
And so like, I think all of that July stuff, like they knew that they didn't need us at all.
Yeah.
But they just did that to give us career readiness experience. I really do think that was what that was for.
Like Sarah made it such a point to be like, this is exactly how you're going to be able to use this on your resume in the future, right? And I think that is so helpful to all of us because like I was already thinking that like, okay, how do I want to advertise myself on this position, right? And she was like, this is exactly how you do it, And that's just like perfect.
I know, and it's just stuff like that, just little details like that. The job was so much more about the Cyclone Aides than it was about the new freshmen. Not saying they didn't care about the new freshmen.
Right, they cared.
But anybody could do that.
Yeah.
Most people could do that. Not to undermine the Cyclone Aides. You guys did a good job. We did a good job. But the job was so much more about like training good Cyclone Aides than it was about getting the freshmen. And I think that says so much about the job.
Yeah.
And so I was just not expecting that at all. And knowing that, I would have said no to the position. Like, because I didn't feel like I needed that. And I still don't feel like I needed that. But it felt fun. So good. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And so like, bravo to them. I can't say enough about that experience and how crazy it was. Like, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be like, you're not going to feel like you belong the entire time.
Yeah.
But
it works out.
But it works out and all of it's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Cyclone Aide thing is awesome. And now you're an RA and you get to experience.
Dude, I'm so excited about it.
Too.
Yeah.
RA is pretty similar to Cyclone Aide, but I don't think they care about the RAs as much as they care about the Cyclone Aides. And that's not a dig. It takes a lot to care about anybody as much as they care about the Cyclone Aides.
Our personal boss in the RA position, he cares a lot.
I think he does too. I think he cares a lot about us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
And he's also young, which I appreciate.
He's literally like 25.
Like could be like an older sibling.
I know.
But like the department, I could agree with that.
Yeah. Well, and I think because this is such a long-term thing, like people are RAs for 2 years. Imagine if they put in that support for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like pouring the amount of resources, the amount of time, the
lot.
amount of care for 2 years into 200 people would be a lot. So I don't expect them to care as much as they do.
Yeah,
about the
Kurt's not
Cyclone Aides.
texting us to come spend the night at his house.
I'll say, where's Kurt?
Where's Kurt's text?
Where are you at? I also asked him to be on the podcast, and he didn't respond. Well, he said in person, I got your email, and I talked to him in person, and then he has not responded yet. I'm just assuming he's
too
busy. I'm assuming
all the IRs that we've been sending his way.
All the bats on our floor.
Oh my God, I can't.
I'd say he's just too busy of a guy. You can't respond to little old me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Maybe when he sees another RA and when I get Jonathan on the pod.
You have to have Jonathan on.
I do. I really do. And he said he was pretty excited. He said he listened to the Susan. He needed to listen to the Susan episode to make sure that it worked.
Okay.
And then.
Well, I actually have a funny connection. So I was at the Iowa State Fair a couple weeks ago, and I ran into my old neighbor who's like a personal friend of Susan's. And she's like, next time you see Susan, let her know that so-and-so says hello.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like waiting to run into Susan
Waiting
now.
to run into her. Yeah, like my girl Susan.
Yeah.
Get her on the pod a second time. We'll see.
That's awesome.
We'll see. But Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with being an RA or a Cyclone Aide? Like,
I don't think so. I mean, like, this is my biggest thing. Like, just get yourself involved in like the most random, obscure things that you can possibly find. Like, I have a different job going all the time. Like,
yeah,
and that's what makes things so much fun. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think the Cyclone Aide has been the pinnacle of my college experience
Yeah.
socially.
And it also like gets you involved in so many other things. Like, we're both going to be LAS ambassadors.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for Cyclone Aide, them watching us up there doing our panel together, like they never would have probably known
I never
we
would have.
existed.
I say I never would have known, and that's going to be a whole adventure as well. I'm very
Yeah,
excited
for
to
real.
see how
I'm
that
excited.
goes. I know, but like again, yeah, with the amount of people too, like it's gotten me at least 4 people have asked to be on the podcast because of Cyclone Aide, and they're 4
Yeah.
Cyclone Aides.
Yeah.
It's you, Lexi, Anna, and Kale.
Yeah.
I think I'm all gonna get them all on the podcast.
They're all going to be amazing.
I know, and so like again, it's been wonderful business for me.
Yeah.
But my connections have quadrupled.
Exactly.
Because of Cyclone Aide.
It's like, oh, you know them? Well, we know everyone now.
I know, and so it's so crazy.
Yeah.
But, we're gonna wrap it up here, but I
Alright.
wanted to give you an opportunity to say any last words that you wanted to say. Like, what do you want new people coming on campus to know or to experience? If you were to give them some advice for new people coming on campus, or if people wanting to be a Cyclone Aide, or people wanting to be an RA, what is some of your just lasting advice?
Yeah, so definitely first things like first and foremost, like focus on yourself, right? Like if you're not doing well, nothing else is going to be able to go well. So you need to prioritize yourself first, in healthy ways. Like really just keep that in mind, and then you can do anything from there. Like act as if this is your last opportunity for anything, because that's how you make the most out of it, right? So just go for everything, if you want something, go do it.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you have any? I guess you probably don't, but that is all I got for you. And so it was wonderful having you on, Ellie. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
for coming on the
Elijah.
show.
This is so fun. Love it.